Hello and welcome back to Haven and Hearth. So, I have been, working on this stuff for a few days now. I've gone through a bunch of food, gotten my stats up a little bit. You can see I'm still massively oversaturated on walnuts. A little bit of blueberries and blackberries, because blueberries finally were found in more abundant quantities. So I was able to get my int up to 16, which was important because I had a single curiosity that was a bug of some sort that took 16 mental weight, and I was waiting for that to be done. It is done. As you can see, I've also kind of let this ghost pipe be working for a little bit, but I seem to have waited a bit too long because now it is winter. Fortunately, though, there's only 10 days left of winter. Because winter is only 15 days in this game, and since the game itself runs at 3 times speed, at least on the this server, the other server is running a little bit faster. It's roughly 3 times speed, so 8 hours is about a day. That means that we only really have just over 3 days left of winter. So this will be the only winter episode that I am making. One of the other things, and this is going to be important, I will do this very quickly here. This is the game capture mode for OBS. For whatever reason, it is still, even after all the adjustments I could think to make, is still being much more stuttery than the actual game. However, there is another method, and I will show you that in just a moment. Alright, you probably didn't even notice the cut there, if I hadn't have said anything, but this is the other method I have of capture. And as you can see, it is a lot smoother. This is the display capture, which is how I used to have to do it at all to get it to even show up. Now, I obviously don't want to do this. I have these black bars on top and bottom to cut off the top of the window and my taskbar. But since this is now a game that is on Steam, if one of my Steam friends were to log in, you'd see their information here because it's a display capture. This wasn't a problem when it was when it was a standalone game, but now that it's on Steam, it's a bit of an issue. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the stuttery game capture, at least for the rest of this episode, and then I will think about maybe seeing if there's any additional stuff, if I can find any additional information online about this issue. But you'll have to put up with it, unfortunately, at least one more episode because, well, I don't need, information leaking out. Because if I were to even mouse over any of the, stuff on my taskbar, the whole thing would pop up and it could just be a big issue. So I'm going to switch back to the game capture and be right back. All right, there we go. Another seamless cut. And we are back. Back to the bit of a stuttery gameplay, but much safer to be recording. All right, so where were we? I've gotten some stuff. I've kind of got a bit of a plan. It's winter. We can't grow crops, which is unfortunate because I actually found a couple of wild tubers. This is the intended method of cultivating crops. There's a handful of wild crops that if you basically just farm them enough times, they will turn into one of the more I want to say cultivated, but that's domesticated crops. Tubers, for example, they might become carrots, they might become not onions, they might become carrots or potatoes or some of the other things. There are, of course, wild onions, which can come, any of the multiple varieties of onions, or they've added garlic. I don't know if that's in this version, but I've actually been playing on my own time and on another character on the other server, and I've gotten garlic. So that's a thing. But unfortunately, because we did not get a bunch of stuff made before winter, we aren't going to be able to farm during the winter. So that, unfortunately, is done. Now, I have gone and picked up a bunch of birch bark, and I've gotten some spindly taproots. Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment, because what I would like to do first is bring some of these stats up. I've got 4,000 learning points that I'm sitting on still. Oh, and I forgot to show you, I have expanded. Most of my learning points from this went into expanding the size of the claim. So right here is the edge of the field. That over there, let's kind of walk that way. That over there is that weird area that had the cross go across it. Are those chickens? I didn't think those spawned in the winter. Huh. At least not on area that weren't grass. So that's that area right there. That is the outer edge of where we need to get eventually, in order to kind of claim the whole area. But obviously, I need to get some of my skills up first, which I kind of did a little bit. As you can see, this is how much I've earned. This is the minus some points here and there that have been used for upkeep. I haven't even filled out this, the amount, that it takes to kind of, fill up the claim yet. But we need to get some skills. So I've done a little bit. I've gotten the survival up to 10. My cooking is 5. My exploration is still 4. Everything else is still 1. Now, because the default state of things in this game, the quality is 10, you want to get all of your skills up to 10 as quickly as possible. So like these wild tubers, for example, they are quality 1 because my farming is quality 1 when I pick them. If I had this at 10, they would be 10. There is no guarantee they would be higher if my skill was higher. Like if I had a 15, they might still be 10. But they could have been as high as 15 if I had the skill there. And this goes for everything else. Survival is 10 because I wanted to get stuff up. As you can see, a bunch of these were picked along the way. Like when I had an 8 in survival is when I got a couple of those taproots. You can see I have a 9, a dandelion. It was before I quite made it to 10. We have gotten our leather. Oh, yeah, I should go and check on the rest of our leather. We are going to need a bunch of this. We got a couple more there. That's good. That is primarily from the quality of the tub, I believe. Yeah, that tub is quality 28, that one that we found that was in the plot already. That is going to be the primary thing. And of course, I think this tanning fluid is quality 24, which we're not going to be able to replace. But we're going. But we are going to need 10 leather in order to get a palisade going. Let's also grab these. Let's get those 3 hides in there soaking. I don't... Oh, wait a minute. No, there was not a... That's water. I was like, was there a barrel of tanning fluid? And the answer is no. We got our squirrel tail. That is another curiosity. Once it's dried there. It can also substitute in many recipes for a prepared hide, but honestly, I don't know why I wouldn't just use it as a curiosity. However, we have a few more things to do. Like I said, farming is out because we did not have the time to make a compost bin, get a bunch of mulch, and make a mound. That would have made an area continue to be farmable through the winter. We don't have that. Unfortunately, we can't even go through and replace a bunch of our stone paving. I had been going through and removing the overgrowth from most of those. I didn't get to all of them. My plan had been to show you how it is done, but well, winter is here, so there's that. Oh, chicken. I found chickens. Got some dead hens. I wanted to prepare the chicken in front of you guys because it is a bunch of discoveries. So we've got chicken feathers. These are going to be important, but right now I'm going to pile them there. All right, we've got our plucked chicken. We'll clean that. we have now got cleaned chicken. Excellent. I believe this pile here was gathering the entrails and such. All right, because we are going to want to use those entrails at some point. They are useful. Butcher, bang. There we go. We have chicken meat. All right, so we've also got some bone material. We want to be saving up our bones because we are going to need 20 bones to turn into 2 bone glue in order to get our palisade. We're also going to need rope. We're not ready for rope yet. We'll probably deal with the rope in the spring. But as much of this as we can get in advance is going to be good. Now, chicken. Why is the chicken good? The chicken just roasted. If I just went and did the roasted meat thing, the chicken is dexterity. And as you can see, I'm a little behind on dexterity. Obviously, psyche is the thing that I'm the most behind on because just flat out, psyche is the most difficult attribute to get pure food for. I think the rare drop, like Ant Queen from the ant hills, gives pure psyche, but almost nothing else does. These 2 points of psyche we've gotten have been from the walnuts, and that has been, those are primarily strength with a little bit of psyche. So we've been mainly getting strength from eating the walnuts. That's also why we're massively overstacked on walnuts, because I was kind of trying to get some psyche up. But it is what it is. We're a little behind on will, dexterity, charisma. Charisma's easy enough to get. I just haven't been bothering. We're just 1 point behind on perception. Again, not that big of a deal. Everything else is at 16. Now, as far as these attributes go, I'm going to pull that up again. We want to get these to 20 as quickly as possible. Again, they start at 10, so it's really just raising it by 10 points. And the reason for that isn't so much because you need these at 20. Strength at 20 is going to allow us to start fighting animals, at least so long as we also get our unarmed combat up to about 15. 15-20 range on unarmed combat and strength is pretty much where we want to be to start fighting things like, the bats down in the cave. And that is the general recommended because it is assumed that you're not going to have any of the extra like attacks or feats or anything like that. It just became night while we were talking. Oh boy. It's going to be assumed that you don't have any of that because, generally speaking, you need to learn those from fighting animals. Let's go to our fighting thing. I don't think I have this set up. All right, martial art. All right, so brief tutorial from the guy who does not do this well. All right, so each of these, if you see, you might have to kind of like lean in, zoom in, something like that. Each of these on one of the corners has a color. So like you can kind of see the green on the punch, you see the green on the quick dodge. You might be able to see the blue on the left hook. There is also a blue on sidestep. All right, so there is also a red on one of these. It's one of the other corners. They're in different corners, so it's a little easier to see them. I think one of these has a red. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. But each of these has one corner, a color on one of the corners. That is what type of damage it either inflicts. Well, okay, not the type of damage it inflicts. That's not quite right. It is the type of opening it creates or the type of opening it closes. So punch, attack type, striking, openings, off balance. All right, so the green off balance, that is what it does. If I go to the left hook, all right, so attack type is backhanded, opening dizzy. Now, as you can see, if I go to quick dodge, reduces striking. So if I were getting punched a bunch, I would want to use quick dodge in order to reduce the opening. So how this works is, if you're using an attack, it helps create a percentage of an opening. If you use a defense, it helps reduce a percentage of a specific opening. Now, starting out, we're primarily going to worry about green. and blue. So we've got punch and quick. Actually, I wanted to redo the order on this. Let's kind of do this slightly different. There we go. I want that order primarily. Dodge, sidestep. All right. So as you can see, I've got punch, left hook, quick dodge, sidestep. So I've got an attack on green and blue, and I have a defense on green and blue. Most of the animals are going to only attack in green and blue. There are going to be some that do red, but we don't really have much of anything. So see, we've got jump. That's a defense for yellow. That might be worth taking. That's just block weight. I'm not sure how that one actually works. Like I said, I am bad at the combat in this game, but it is possible to just outstat your opponent, and you just basically spam one move. Shield up is also block weight. All right. 2 arms there. All right, so we really only have a yellow defense. I'm going to add the yellow defense just in case. So what this is this is our martial art, our move set. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to take this and I'm going to say save. This is save school 1. Now, you might be like, why are you not filling up the rest of this? And here is why. When you're in combat, it will pull 5 moves from your set and display them to you every round of combat, because there's kind of a delay in the moves. It's not full-blown turn-based, but it's like pseudo-turn-based. It will give you pull 5 moves from your school. If you only have 5 moves, it will display them there, and I think it even does it in this order. So if I added additional moves, it would randomize what was available to me each time. Whereas if I only have the 5, it will give me all 5 every time, so I could just spam punch if I wanted to, which is actually a good thing because it is attacking the same type of opening it creates. And the left hook does the same thing. It attacks in the type of opening it creates. So basically, I could just spam punch and theoretically beat down an animal if my stats are appropriate. Same with left hook. I could choose to instead left hook. The reason you might want to do one instead of the other is if a specific animal has a defense move against that color. So like if it has a quick dodge equivalent, I might want to use left hook instead of punch. Really just that simple. Like I said, there are red attacks, which are one we don't have yet. We don't have a defense against that. That's things like bears and boars. Off the top of my head, I think have that. Maybe the aurochs as well. I'm not entirely sure. Those are like the really like goring and like massive slash attacks, those kind of things, generally speaking. We don't have a defense against that yet. That pretty much just means end your fight quickly, because the more often you get hit with an attack, that gives a specific opening, the more damage you're going to take from attacks that exploit that opening. Now, not all of the attacks are going to be like this. All the starting ones are very straightforward, but there are ones where it's like it's a green attack and gives you a blue opening. So it's not going to entirely be this simple, but at the start, it really just is. That's like I said, I'm not very good at the more advanced version of the combat, which is also why I have issues with animal taming, but yeah, that is what it is. So we've got that set up. So once we are ready to start fighting, I have this set. I won't have to be like, oh my god, I didn't set anything up. Oops. Basically, things like that. You'll want to do that relatively quick. So let's see. What else do we got? Right, I was talking about the birch bark and the spindly taproot. And I was talking about what I wanted to do skill-wise. So I've got 5,000. let's take a quick look at our lore and skills, because there are a few things I'm going to want. Firecrafts is going to be necessary. It's only 75 points. I'll buy that. Cooking is probably a good idea. It'll help with some of our food things. Only 250. We'll buy that. Gardening is 4,000. Otherwise, I would buy it right now. Landscaping. Gonna be useful. 300. We'll buy it now. Law speaking, no. Locks and bolts eventually, but we don't have anything to put it on yet, so don't worry about it. Music, painting, plant lore. Again, plant lore, much like gardening, is very useful. It's also 4,000. I can't afford it right now. Pottery. Yeah. Kiln. 125. We'll buy it. Alright, where are we? Plant lore, rage. Oh, because some stuff got bumped up. Alright, so there's baking now. Baking is a thing. We're not going to worry about that just yet. Rage. We are avoiding rage. Prevents you, it's like, being an outlaw. Let's see. Rage allows you to initiate combat with other Hearthlings. So you don't really want to do that, unless you're going to be a PvPer. As you notice, it's 5,000, or 50,000, sorry. So you kind of have to dedicate yourself if you want to get rage. Rope twining. It's 1,000, but it is mandatory to have rope twining, if you're going to put up a palisade, at least if you're working by yourself. So we're going to go ahead and buy it, despite it costing so much. Sewing, kind of useful. I'm not sure we are ready for it yet. Let's take a quick look peek. That is not what I'm after. Let's see. Where is... All right, pants. Yes, I do have the pants. So this is what the birch bark and the taproots are going to be for, is for birch bark clothing. That's kind of why I wanted to get some of this out of the way first. We're not going to do sewing just yet. Stoneworking, only 200, and this skill is necessary for us to repair the missing spots in the paving. So we're going to buy that. Let's see, trade, no. Trespassing, we aren't concerned with that yet. And it's, again, 25,000. You have to dedicate yourself to that if you want it. Winemaking, wheel riding. All right, we don't need those yet. Let's just kind of go through one more time, make sure there hasn't been anything else added behind us. Charcoal burning is useful eventually. I'm not worried about it yet. We'll worry about that a little later. It's not a whole lot, but every point matters at the moment. So, abilities. Here we go. Now, in the immediate, let's see, we got, at best, oh man, some of this stuff is actually pretty good. Let's see how high we can get our sewing. Alright, not that high. We can get it to 7. And we've got 500 points left. Well, 506, but that 6 isn't going to help. That'll let us get our exploring up to level 5. Alright, exploration, good. Sewing, not so good. Our survival is our only stat that's really up to snuff. That's why I'm not going to expand this for a bit, because, well, frankly, I kind of need to get stuff, my skills up. So, bark, pants. We don't have pants. We haven't had pants this whole time, and it's winter. We don't have a shirt either. All we're wearing is our backpack. Let's go ahead and craft ourselves a set of pants. There we go. We managed to get quality 9.8 on our pants. This is guildable. But we are obviously... Nope, that's not the right button. I want that button. There we go. Bam. Pants. Look at that. Alright, now we want a shirt. Where is our shirts? There's our shirts. Birch bark shirt. Craft that. There we go. I thought I only had... Oh, guess right, it was 4, not 3. Okay. Well, we got our shirt. Again, it is... This one is actually lower quality. 8.5. But we now have a shirt and pants. They don't do anything by themselves. The quality will help with certain things, like it'll help with the guilds, but we don't have any of those on yet. We want to do some guildable things. I don't know exactly what we're going to want to do yet. Let's see. Oh, we got a new one. What's these? Oh, Feather Tassel improves sewing and exploration. Forager's Brooch, perception and exploration. Of course, we have our Taproot Lacing, which, is plus survival. That'll help. We got plus unarmed combat with bark reinforcement. All right, those are the things we could theoretically put on. The gilding system is complicated. I will give the brief, incomplete rundown. So, as you can see, this says it is gildable. It's got a 0 in blue. What this means is, if the number is blue, you can add a gilding to it. As you can see, there is the percentage chance on here. That percentage chance is the percentage chance. If you use one of the things that it displays there, the little icons next to the chance. So that is sewing, that is survival, and that is lore. And you know that by looking at this, survival, lore, sewing, those are the same icons. If you attach a gilding that matches this, the percentage chance is actually higher, so it's on that high end, that 20%, closer to the 20%, for it to apply the gilding and still be gildable. If you apply things that are not that, it's going to be closer to that 4% chance. And, with the pants are the same thing. It's basically, just the pants version of the shirt. That is the super short version of it. The quality of the gilding and the quality of the, the item you are gilding, is going to affect the stats that the gilding provides, like the amount of the stats that it provides. But that is ultimately the long and short of it. And you can stack gildings. I know there is some sort of mechanic in place where putting the same gilding on something makes it more difficult in some way. But there are plenty of gildings when you unlock them that do the same stats, but they're a different gilding, so you don't necessarily need to do that. It's complex, is ultimately the thing. All right, so we got winter. And we're actually almost through our episode length. Just me talking about these things. I do want to look really quick before we get any further and look at curiosities. Aha! I thought so. Feather duster. 5 feathers, a string, a block of wood. And if we mouse over it, it shows us mental weight 4, study time day and 6 hours, 800. That is for base 10. That is what that is. If I had a 10 quality, that is what it is. Experience cost 5. Oh, and we've just crashed the game. Be right back. All right, we're back. All right. Where was I? What was I saying? I was talking about some of the systems that are in place, things of that nature. I know I was talking about the feather duster. I'm probably going to make some of those. I don't think I have. Now, I've been storing some of the stuff in these logs. I don't think I have any more string objects. Oh, I do technically have a stinging nettle. All right, let's grab that. It's only 5 quality. I don't care that much. We need a log. I could hit one of those. You know what? I think I'm going to come up here and take out one of these stumps instead. Let's do that really quick, and then I think that'll end up being the episode. So, all right. Adventure, destroy the stump. And this is going to do it with our really crappy axe. If I had a shovel, it would be much quicker and much lower effort. But I don't have one yet, so we'll deal with that later. All right, so this is going to take a minute. We're technically past the time, but again, I will run slightly long for the sake of getting this feather duster done. And then, I believe, we will be good. How are we doing here? Let's see. This is gonna drop 4 of the wood. It'll be the, like, weird rotted wood that you get, but that's actually more useful in some cases. So, we're probably gonna run ourselves out of stamina, but we have water on us of quality 22. I don't remember where I got that, but okay. Yep, there we go. Which means that we're actually drinking less water to restore our more stamina than if this was just quality 10. That's one of the reasons to drink higher quality water, rather than just saving it for crafting. And the fewer drinks you take, I believe the less energy it uses to restore the stamina. I'm not 100% on that one, but I think that's how it works. Alright, we're gonna... Nope. Come on, we're gonna pick up all of our wood there. Hey, this is quality 14. Not bad. Alright. We got our crappy quality 5 string. We've got some quality 14 blocks. We are actually going to need to pluck the feathers of another chicken. And then we can come over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put them in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, please, craft. Because you can craft out of the stockpiles like this if you have them open. There we go. We have our feather duster. Now, this one, unfortunately, is only quality 5, so yeah, we're not going to get as much out of it, but this is going to be a slightly more steady source of the curiosities. It takes up 2 slots, so it's less preferable in that, but a lot of the crafted ones are that way. All I'm going to need to do, basically, is continue to go and get chickens, which eventually we will be able to just farm the chickens up ourselves. But that, I believe, is going to do it for this episode. Now, we've got a few days before I record again, because I'm going to come back in the spring, when we should be able to start getting into farming proper. In the interim, I'm going to basically continue doing what I've been doing, which is researching curiosities, gathering and eating food, raising my stats. And I will show you at the beginning of the next episode just how far we got. But hey, we have clothes now. It's this weird birch bark clothes, but it's better than the absolute nothing we've been wearing. Then that's that. That is going to do it for this episode. So, until next time, have a good one.